A good Voch Rabbi. That's what we have to say today. We don't have Gary, so whoever can mute, Yishkoyach. You'll remain muted. I have to explain what's going on. So last night, the shir is pretty late here, and I was getting tired. So I took a gesunte coffee. I was all wired up, and I spoke to Yoel after the shir, and he told me he was very, very sad. I said, what's going on, Yoel? I saw you're like different today. He said he just came back from being Menachem Avel's friend. His friend who's 13 years old is in school, and the son of Yoni Cohen, and he was he just couldn't deal with it, he said. So he said, listen, if you give me an incentive, I'll be really good tomorrow. So I said, how about Slurpees? He said, yeah, Slurpees is it. So Mamela today also, you're on, just go like this. You don't even have to unmute yourself. Just go like this. Good. Baruch Hashem. But then what happened was, I couldn't fall asleep. 5 o'clock in the morning, I fell asleep for 2 hours because I had to get up today. So it's one of those days. Now I was like, when is shir starting? I don't know. I couldn't focus. I couldn't focus. Rabbi said we have, it's Erev Shabbos, everybody's in a very big rush. Oh no, I wanted to do something special for Shloimi. What? You're taking advantage of your privilege to talk during shir. That is wrong. That is wrong, Uncle Phil. That's wrong. Okay, but anyway, yeah. Well, listen. We got to. Motzei Shabbos is another incentive. What am I going to do? Give me more Slurpees for a month? Then what am I going to do with Motzei Shabbos? Motzei Shabbos is another incentive. Motzei Shabbos. Don't tell your parents after Shnir we're sneaking out to go to 7-Eleven at 1 o'clock in the morning. Today's shir is sponsored Lilu Nishmas. Imi, Rusbas Mordechai, sponsored by Shloimi Klein, the one and only Shloimi Klein, in honor of my Zaydi's yard site. Shloimi, listen, in a way, it's like sad, but you're the only one that has a sponsor in my house, in my office. First time ever that I'm giving a shir from my office, right here. It's not the right direction, and I don't know, where should we put it? You know what, we'll put it by the stapler. Hold on. I don't know if it's going to hold up here. Atazai, gewaldig. No, you don't really see it anymore. Okay, hold on. 1 sec. How about over here? But it's going to fall down. Okay. It says Shlomi Klein, that's enough. No, it just fell down. Okay, how about over here? 1 second. This is a full service. That's it. Bam. Okay. Shloimi, oh no, it didn't work. To move over this way. Okay, now it's there. It's there. Oh, y'all, the deal is, there's no interrupting. You can't unmute until the end of shir. If you unmute once, 0 Slurpee for a week. No unmuting, get a Slurpee today, Motzei Shabbos, and maybe even 2 on Motzei Shabbos. All right, Yishkoyach, wow. Yeah, last night was unbelievable. So, real quickly, from Shlomi Klein, in love and memory of my maternal grandfather, Reb Shimon Goldman, Zechron Levracha, a sole survivor who had the ultimate revenge on the Germans and had well over 80 great-grandchildren at the time of his passing, all of them Shoimrei Torah mitzvahs. That's insane. 80 Shoimrei Torah mitzvahs. Beis Neshama have an aliyah, not a single one off the there. That's crazy. Shlomi Klein, Valley Brook Produce, check him out. 330 Albany Avenue in Brooklyn, New York, 11213. Rabbi Isai, this is an amazing picture. I love this picture. 1 minute. Time out. Who was it yesterday? What's his name? Hold on. Oh! Yoni. It's not about the Yomi. Nagler. Only the Nagler. So here's the picture. This is an amazing picture. I love this picture. Why? He's in the hospital. His wife is giving birth here. And he's learning Torah. Now, I know it's legit, this picture. She snapped it without him knowing. And I could prove it in a number of different ways. But if you look closely, he doesn't have an earphone in here, but he has one in the other ear. You could see it very carefully. See, he's paying attention. He's listening to his wife, but he's also learning at the same time. Here it is. Here's his earphone. This is a great picture of somebody learning Torah in different situations. Love it. All right, so we are holding a bunch of lines from the bottom. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. We are Erev Shabbos Kodesh. It's like 4 o'clock here in Chicago almost, 5 o'clock in New York. I don't know what these guys are doing. We're going to have to go quick so these guys can get to shul. And in Chicago, and this is basically for Eretz Yisrael, for Motzei Shabbos. Amar Reb Gamliel. We have to go back like 7 days at least to get to the first Mishnah in the parak of Hadar. And over there the Mishnah tells us, Reb Gamliel said there's a Maisa, there's a story, B'tzduki Echad, a guy, a Tzduki. Listen, these are Jews that have their own little way of learning the Torah. They're obviously Koifrim. Shoyadari Manu. Says the Gemara, Tzduki Mandikar Shmei. Who is discussing Tzdukim that Reb Gamliel is saying, oh, by the way, there's a story with the Tzduki. If we mention the Tzduki, you tell me a story about a Tzduki, but what does that have to do with anything? Says the Gemara, Chasur Mechser Revach Tani, you're right. We just have to understand that this is what the Mishnah meant to say. Tzduki Hareu Kinachri. That a Tzduki has a halach of a goy. In other words, just like a goy cannot be mevatel his rishos, he can relinquish his rishos, his property, to the rest of the people in the Mavoi. You have a bunch of guys in the Mavoi. They all made an error besides this one guy. So the guy can't say, oh, I'm going to give up my property to you. What the guy needs to do is he has to rent out his property. That's the only way out. Tzduki. He was born to the Jews, the whole thing, but he went off with tzaddik and he became a tzduki. He's like a guy. And this is what we're going to be discussing today. The sheet of Reb Gamliel, what exactly does it say? Tzduki einoi kenachri. A tzduki is not an achri. He's not a guy. He could be mevatel. And on that comes Reb Gamliel. V'omer Reb Gamliel, you're asking me where does it fit into the Mishnah here? And he did a bittul. You're telling me he can't do bittul. According to you, he's a guy. No, I'm telling you a story. He did bittul. V'omer lono abba. And Shimon said to them, Maharu v'yitzusa kelim amavi. Jump, go quickly. As Shabbos is going in, we'll see. You do your thing, so you chop him out first. You're the first one doing this. Because if you wait for him to do it, if you wait for him to do it, it'll be too late. You do it. You're kind of the mavoi. He was mevatel it to you. In other words, you see from here, says Reb Gamliel, there's a story. You could be mevatel. A tzedaki could be mevatel as rushos. Vatanya, and this is the famous, all throughout Shas. Usually it says Vatanya. I would say probably 75% of the time, maybe. Something like that. I don't know. I never checked. But most of the time it says Vatanya is a question. Vatanya, it says in the Brayah. But many times it says Vatanya, and you read it Vatanya, and it's a raya. And Rashi always says Binichuda. You don't read it as a question, you read it as pleasantly. It's a raya. Vatanya, and I'll prove it to you. Hadorim nochi tzdoiki ubatoisi. So, there's two guys, one was Tzaddik, one was Baitois, and they made two groups of two new religions. So if you live with either one of these religions, the Tzdukim, the Baitoisim, Hareilo Oisrim Olav. Why? A guy, a Tzduki and a Baitoisi, they have to rent it out to you. And then Reb Gamliel Oimed Tzdoiki Baitoisi, Einin Oisrim, that's the shita we just saw. Umaisa b'Tzdoiki Echad Shayadorim Reb Gamliel, here's the story of Mavi Yerushalayim. Reb Gamliel told his sons, Bonai, Maharu v'yitziu mashetem moitzim v'achnisu mashetem achnisim. Do what you need to do. Achelo yoitzi atoyev hazeh, this despicable guy, v'yeser aleichem. Because if he does it first, it's all over. Sharei bitul rishus elechem. So Reb Gamliel holds he could do bitul rishus. Just we're concerned that he might undo it. He might take it back. He might regret it. If he regrets it, then, because he's a Jew, and a Jew could chayzer mevatel. He could say, I don't want it. So like we had yesterday, if you chop onto it, then he can't regret it. But before anybody grabbed it, and he said, look, I'm being mafkir, and then he says, no, I don't want to. So he could take it back. Why not? Divrei Rabbi Meir. So real quickly, I just want to give you a cheat thing over here. Does that count as no Slurpee? That's the Shaila. It's a good Shaila, because there was a little bit of an unmute. We go weiter. Eli said we go weiter. We go weiter. Yoel Berg was not going to do it again. Okay. Reb Meir holds a tzduki. Let me read from the screen. Tzduki is mevatel. In other words, Reb Meir holds that tzduki is a Jew. He could be mevatel, and therefore, if he's a Jew, he could go v'chayz mevatel, and you could give it back to him. You could relinquish it right back to him. But what if somebody else grabs it? The other Jews in the mavoi, they grab it in the chatzar. No, you can't be mevatel anymore, right? Great. Rabbi Yehuda, we're going to see, has two shitas, and these are all in Rabbi Gamliel. What does Rabbi Gamliel hold? Rabbi Yehuda says, according to Lashon Aleph, Lishna Aleph, or the first pshat, a tzduki has a halach of a goy, and a goy doesn't have the right to relinquish his property. Or, no, a tzduki could be mevatel, but one difference. Even if the Jews in the Mavoi go ahead and they grab it, he could later on say no. He could be mevatel it. And therefore what? So if you remember in the Mishnah, that's why we're going to see in a second, here we go, Rabbi Yehuda Omer beloshen acheres. Rabbi Yehuda learns it differently. Go ahead and do whatever you need to do in the Mavoi. Go ahead, do what you need to do. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda holds, even if you chap the mavoi, he gave you a bittul, you chap the mavoi, he could always go ahead and renege on it and take it back, and memela, you'll be stuck on Shabbos, carrying, you don't know. Do everything before Shabbos. So Nachamal, according to one sheet that we said in Rabbi Yehuda, he actually has the right to be mevatel. Just he also has the right to take it back at any time. Omar goes the Gemara into this. By the way, I just want to show you something real quickly. Once we're in my office, hold on. Where is it? Hold on. So, why is this here? Don't look at the score; it's not such a gewaldig. But these are my tests from the Daf Yomi, from the Dirshut. Unbelievable! Whoever could do it, do it. It's $130. Never cashed it, and then I have all these other ones here. All these checks. These are the checks, the Dirshut checks. Don't look at this one. This is Shvach. Another 130. 130 is a pretty good score. It's in the 90s. This one was these dapim right here. And this, Rabbi Isai, I'm not going to show you my score, it's a terrible score, but this was the one on 250 daf. Okay, anyway, next. So I'm very proud of it. I didn't want to cash, I felt bad cashing, what's his name, Hofstadter's checks. Like, giving me money to learn Torah now. Fine. Zog the Gemara. Yeah. Move. Oh, I shouldn't move at all. Like this, you're saying? Zoom looks great. We should start using Zoom. Zog the Gemara. We're not even on today's daf. Do everything. So he says, listen, go ahead, take out your stuff. Says the Gemara, seems like from the Gemara, and that's what we were learning until now, that Rabbi Gamliel told the sons, chaparain. But what happens after you chap? What happens if you grab the mavi to yourselves? Now what? Could the zduki undo it or not? L'chayr or not? You be first. All he's saying, go first. If you're first, you grab it, now you're the owner. Once you're the owner, the zduki can't say, I regret it. Too late. So now we're on top of Daf Samachtes Amud Aleph. Votnan, Mishin Osan Rishusay v'hoitzi. And this we had yesterday. We're going to have it again today in the Mishnah. If somebody relinquishes his rishus, he's mevatel rishus, and after he's mevatel rishus, he forgot about it, he didn't care about it, b'shoigig mezid, he went and he took out. He went from his house into the rishus that he gave up to everybody. It's not his chatzar anymore. Bein b'shoigi bein b'mezid oiser divrei Reb Meir. Oh, what does Reb Meir say here? Reb Meir says that a person could renege the whole deal. He was mevatel his rishus, and a minute later he walks into the chatzar and he undoes everything. We just said l'chari can't undo it. Whoever goes first grabs it. No, even if you go first and grab it, I can renege. Amar Rav Yosef, very interesting. Ema einoi oiser. You're right. It's a major problem, and therefore I'm going to be goyers in this brayso. Einoi oiser. Abaye Omar loy kashi kan shechziku b'nei mavoi mavoi kan shelo yichziku b'nei mavoi mavoi. Abaye says gewaldig. If they grabbed onto it, it became theirs. Then the tzduki can't take it back. But in a situation, why does it say over here v'osnan? Well, I guess no, that's before v'osnan Mishnah. So yeah, now Mishnah. So why does it say that it's usher? That he answers it? Because nobody grabbed it. He gave it up, and before anybody chapped him up, he ran in there and took it back. V'tanya, and I'll prove it to you. Yeah, that's where it is. Amud Beis. It looked familiar. Listen, there's no kashas today. Somebody had slept 2 hours, nothing. But yeah, it was on Amud Beis. And I even said it earlier. I said we're about to learn it. We learned it yesterday. We're going to learn it soon. It's not a question. It's a raya. Now, in order to get to this raya, we have to have patience. The raya is, in 8 lines or whatever. It's at the end. But we're going to go through the whole thing again. If before he relinquished his rishus, he took it out from his house to the chatzah, he could renege. Remember we had yesterday, at the end of the day, he's a guy, so he can't be mevatel b'mezid. But b'shoigig he could. Once he gave it, once he relinquished his rishus, he answers, Rabbi Yudoimer b'mezid oiser b'shoigig einei oiser. B'medvam amurim, here it goes. B'medvam amurim b'shaloi hechziku b'nei mavi b'mavi. If the people didn't grab it, then he could take it back. Aval hechziku b'nei mavi b'mavi. If the people from the Mavoi grabbed the Mavoi after he gave it to them, he doesn't have the right to take it back. So here's the right to what we said, that according to Abaye, that there's a difference whether or not the people in the Mavoi, they grab their Mavoi back. Omar Mar, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Beloshan Acheres. In the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda has a different way of looking at it. Rabbi Yehuda says, Maru you only have a chance to do what you need to do before Shabbos. Once Shabbos comes in, the tzdoiki always has the right to renege and take his property back. Even if he gave it to you and even if you grabbed onto it, he can take it back and therefore create major issues on Shabbos. Don't do any malach on Shabbos. Do everything you need to do before Shabbos. Alma nachriyu. Then we treat him as a regular guy. The tzduki is a guy and he's not able to be mevatel. But if you look at what it says, no, he was mevatel. But when he decides to take it back, then it'll become his. In other words, he does have the right to be mevatel. Says the Gemara, you're right, so maybe you have to stick in a word or so. We're not talking about the guy taking it back. We're talking about the day. We're talking about Friday. Do everything you need to do until Friday leaves us. Not until the tzdoiki comes and takes his stuff out. Until Friday takes himself out. Until it's not Friday anymore, until it's Shabbos. You have all Friday long to do your malacha. In other words, you have to stick in the word yoim or something, but that's how the Gemara understood it. A guy just called me up. He left me a voice note if anybody wants to hear it. Pretty sad voice note. For me, it was sad when I heard it. But he says, I want to tell you about somebody. So I want to tell you that so-and-so is mamish frum. Why? Because I asked him, I said, are you going to smoke a cigarette in the street on Shabbos? And he said, no. And then he goes weiter and he says, listen, I want to tell you about some other guy. This other guy, he only watches his favorite movies on Shabbos. He mamish loves Shabbos. There's a guy in Kiruv. That's how he looks at it. That's why the guys love him, because he's able to show them love. He's able to see the best in every situation. But that's exactly what he told me. He said, this guy is mamish frum because, yes, he's Machal Shabbos because he has a Yetzer Hara, but he does it b'tzina. He's really embarrassed to do it in front of everybody. That's not a Machal Shabbos. That's what he said. So that's what the Gemara is kind of saying over here. Kan b'mumar l'chal Shabbos is b'tzina. If a guy is a mumar, he's off the derech, he's Machal Shabbos, but only in private. Kan, and therefore, if he's private, he has the right to be mevatel rishus, he's considered a Jew. Kan b'mumar l'chal Shabbos is b'feretzer. If he goes out in the public and he doesn't care about other people, he drives his car, Taisus points out that it's muchach from the sugya that even in the derabanan. So, and that's our sugya. If a guy, how do you know he's Machal Shabbos? Because he didn't use the Eruv. He went into the mavui. So he was carrying in the mavui, and carrying in the mavui without an Eruv is a derabanan. He's a mumur, and a guy like that doesn't have the right to. What are you doing? You're taking pictures of what? I see everybody. I see everything. It's only unbelievable. Should I change positions on it? Hold on. Let me move it this way. Time out. How about like this? Like this? No? Noch nicht? Ay. Okay. Gotta go back. Who does this go according to? That what? Mumar, listen to what it says here. A mumar. Somebody that doesn't believe, he's a koifer in certain mitzvahs, we'll see in a second. The gilui ponim. Gilui ponim is a mechutzaf. That's chutzpah. Hareza eino mevatel rishus. He's considered a guy, no betel rishus. Okay, that's step one. As the Gemara, Gili Parim Mumar Have, it's the same thing. It's one and the same. A guy that's a mechutzav, in other words, he does have various, and he doesn't care about other people. He's a mumar. Mumar is a mechutzav. Ella, mumar begili parim. You're right. It's one and the same. He's a mumar, not just that he's over an averis, but he does it in front of other people. Any yochel avatar rishos, he doesn't have the right to be involved. He's not Jewish. And that Allah, he's not considered a yid. Keman ki Rabbi Yehuda. That's shittas Rabbi Yehuda. He said, guy. A tzduki can't be mevatel. Says the Gemara, Ahu denofag b'chumarto the madoisha Rashi is two pshatim. Let's say he was taking a bag of spices. Kivin the chazil Rabbi Yehuda nesio kasio. This is a famous story about I think correct me if I'm wrong. I heard this story many times, and I heard it so many times that I forgot what it is. But basically, like some chassid was doing Rebbe. The chassid is Michal Shabbos, so the Rebbe went out to see, and as soon as the chassid saw the Rebbe, he took a cigarette, put it behind his back. He says, "Das heißt nicht Machal Shabbos." That's not Machal Shabbos. Why? If he's embarrassed to me, he's not Machal. Something like that. Yeah, you ever heard this Maisa? No. Okay. So that's what's going on, and I think he brought this Gemara over here. That because this guy was embarrassed of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rebbe, then it's not considered a Machal Shabbos. Oh my God, Zeh mevatel reshus Rabbi Yehuda. So. What happened? Yosef, you're not muted. No problem. Did you not know that cheer started? Like, did I forget to tell you?
No, you didn't tell me.
You were in charge of telling everybody else, and you're the only one that didn't know. Okay, fine. I don't know how did all these people get on today? How did they chab? Okay, New Yorkers.
They were checking every 10 minutes.
I believe it about Eli Dykman. Everybody else, I don't know. So that's not considered a mumar. That's considered a yid that has a taiva like that guy that the Rebbe told me. He has a shtickle Yetzer Hara, but he's not a mumar. Mumar means that he doesn't care about the Rebbeinu Shalom. He cares about the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's really embarrassed. He's just too big of a Yetzer Hara. Amar Ravuna. Now we're going to the sugya. Who's considered a sheikh? It's not. Ezu Yisrael mumar. Zeh hamechal shabosos b'farhesya. Rabbi, it's unbelievable. It's Parshas Bereshis. The Shabbos, Parshas Bereshis. We're learning about the creation of the world. Like Baruch Hu created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. So when you mechal Shabbos, you're koifer in the creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You don't believe in creation. If you believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, then you're not mechal Shabbos. That's the Vart. When we started Masechta Shabbos, in the Agdama, I just mentioned, like Stam. If you want to define a Jew in America, you say he's a Shomer Shabbos. Like on the store it says Shomer Shabbos. Why? That's how you could tell a person is a Jew or not a Jew. Shabbos. Hamachal Shabbos b'farhesya. What does it mean b'farhesya? In front of 10 people, or let's say he sends out a text or something, but everybody's going to find out about it. More than 10 people. It doesn't have to be in front of but if 10 people will know about it, 10 Jews, that's b'farhesya. In other words, so obviously, by the way, Stam, what about a Friday guy in the street? No clue. You tell him, oh, you know that he has no idea there's such a thing as tefillin. A guy like that, we're not talking about. Don't about a guy, Rahman al-Islam in Eretz Yisrael, you wouldn't believe it, that the non-religious over there, so many of them have no clue whatsoever. You wouldn't believe the how little they know. Maybe Shabbos they do know, and that could be a problem. But in other mitzvahs, you tell them about stuff, no clue. I think I mentioned that I ripped Kriya from my mother, went on Elal, and I asked the stewardess because they were treating us terribly. I said, do you know why it's ripped? No. But you work here in Elal, you see this every day. You don't know why these from people have ripped jackets? No. Could you tell me? An Arab steward came and explained it to her. Zog the Gemara, Omar Rav Nachman, Kiman, so we had this machlokes. If somebody, let's say, he doesn't care about tefillin, does that also mean he doesn't care about Shemitah? Does that mean that he doesn't care about other? He's not so makbid in Lashon Hara. Does it mean he's a kofer and everything? So, Rameh holds, just because he's not makbid on one mitzvah, okay. So he has a shtickle yitzhar for that mitzvah. Doesn't mean that he's a kofer and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're turning to Amud Beis, sponsored by Mark Steinberg, Shidduch for Yitzchok, Pesach Yehuda ben Meir Yosef, and by anonymous Vatzloch in Yiddishkeit and Schos for his family to be Torah Jews. No, that's Amud Aleph. Amud Beis is special. What? Wow. Okay, so that will be a schos that we're going to get a shidduch soon. According to Rabbanon, it doesn't work like that. Just because he doesn't do one mitzvah doesn't mean that he's a mummer. Oh, obviously Rashi explains if you believe in avodah zara, that's a direct contradiction to believe in a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's one aveira called avodah zara that tells us that you are a mummer, you're a kofer. But what about Shabbos? How does Shabbos fit in? Why do you say that if he's a mummer for Shabbos, it's all over? You're right. But in order to lose your privilege, to relinquish your rishos, that even a Mechal Shabbos loses his privilege. To say that a person is a mummer and a kofer, that's only avodah zara. But to lose your privilege, that's also Shabbos. Zog the Gemara, ukidesagni Yisrael mumar amesham shabbos bashuk, off the derech Jew, but he's not mechal Shabbos b'farhesi in the marketplace. Mevater rishus, he has the right to relinquish his rishus. V'shenim shabbos shabbos bashuk, but if he's not careful about farhesi, edim mevater rishus, he has no right. So again, you can't beat down a chiloni and say, oh, he can't because he's mefarhesi. Number one, we don't know if he's a tinik shenishba, and we don't know if he even knows Hilchos Shabbos. He might not even know that a car. Who knows? You Pasha don't know anything. I'm telling you. You think they all know everything? They learn it. They don't know anything. Says the Gemara, ben Nochri ad sheyaskir. Now a guy, he cannot be mevater rishus, as we learned many times. He has to rent it to you. Keitzad. Now the Gemara just tells us exactly how it's done. Says the Gemara, Oimer loy rishusi knuyelach, rishusi mevutelas lach. He has to say these words, but he doesn't have to make a kinyan. This is from Yoni. Here's the guy, I don't know if you could see. Here's an Eruv up here, and here's the guy, or they tell him, we'll see soon, but he tells them, rishusi mevutelas lach, rishusi knuyelach. Kana vein tzorch l'skois. Fine. Rav Ashi Omar Haytanuhu the Chamir Ali Shabbos Kavod Zara. You ask me a question, why Shabbos? It says only Avodah Zara. You know why? Because Shabbos is equal to Avodah Zara. You don't believe in Shabbos, you're like an Oved Avodah Zara. You don't believe in the creation of Chumash Bereshis, of Parshas Bereshis, the whole parsha, because you don't believe that the Rebbeinu Shalom rested on Shabbos. That means you don't believe in the creation of Shabbos and Mela, tied into each other. Then you're a kafir. You're kafir in the whole bria. Kedesanya mikem veloy kulchem. Second pasuk in Chumash Vayikra. Davel b'nei Yisrael v'amarem Adam ki Yaakov mikem. It should say Adam. Any human being, even mikem, korban, lashem, mina behema. I get it like this from the Bari line with the kufs. Don't worry about it. Mina behema. So the Gemara darshans, mikem is only some of you. Me, not chem. Mikem, some of you could bring a korban. Second pasuk in Vayikra. V'loy kulchem, not every Jew could bring a korban. Prat lemumar. If a guy is off the derech and he drives to the Beis Hamikdash with a car on Shabbos, we won't be makriv his korban on Sunday. Mikem, bochem chilakti v'loy be'umois. But says the Gemara that any guy in the world, the biggest Russia, a murderer, if a guy brings a korban, we take his korban. But a Jew that's mechal Shabbos, we're not taking his korban. Mina behema, and the continuation of the pasuk, mina behema, lahavi b'nei adam hadoimin lebehema. It's very interesting. Just last night, maybe it was 4 a.m, tossing and turning. I read this article. I don't know if you saw it about Rechnitz. He went out against this guy. Never even heard about him. So you guys in Borough Park know him. Some guy in Borough Park that's doing these Hafganot. So Rechnitz called him a behema. A behema shein and a Torah. And it's very interesting. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying here. Mina behema. Lavi b'nei adam hadoimim lebehema. Humans that act like behemoths. They call it Nazis, he said, all sorts of things. He's very upset. Anyway, became a man Omar. Very nice. I don't know the story. I have no idea. I'm not getting involved. It sounds interesting. Min habehema lavi b'nei adam hadoimim ayin in Yeshiva World News. There are people that act like behemoths, and those people that act like behemoths cannot bring korbanos. A guy, what do you expect? Whatever. No, any guy can bring. Uh-oh.
No, YouTube.
Oh, it's frozen?
Yeah.
He's helping us. What are you, Taina? It's going? Okay, Yisrael Goldstein said we could go weiter. Thank you, y'all. You still got your slurping. So this is a side in Yiddishkeit that we don't want to be merachik, the off the derech guy. We don't want to say you're a goner, we're not going to take your thing. We're not going to take your korban. If you do that, says Rashi, he'll never come back. You push him off too much, he won't come back. Chutz namumar. The Gemara is going to ask immediately what it means. But if a guy is off the derech and he pours wine for those guys don't get to bring korbanos. Obviously, it doesn't apply to that Israeli guy. Mamish down the block from here used to drive to the mikvah on Shabbos, and they asked my friend Yehuda Freilich, "What's going on? Why is your guy from your community driving to the mikvah on Shabbos?" He said, "Oi." He told me he's mikabel on himself to go to the mikveh every day. He goes also on Shabbos. Gets it. Fine. Those guys, obviously, not a problem. Let's explain this. If the guy is a mummer, then it doesn't fit into mikem. Mikem means you, Klal Yisrael, the good guys. So a mummer cannot bring a korban. And then it says, what's going on here? It's a contradiction. It says you do accept the carbon from a mummer. The one we don't accept is somebody that's over an entire Torah. He eats chazer, he's Shabbos, everything, nothing, he's not going to do anything. Person that's only mummer, one aveira, he could bring a carbon. Oh, so what's mitziasa? He's over on one thing. What does it mean? He's only did one thing. He's a mummer, a menasach yayin, and what does mummer mean? How do we explain it? It doesn't fit in. That fits right. He cannot bring a carbon. The Sefer says if he's a mummer, he can't bring a carbon. What is he doing? If he doesn't have the whole Torah, then it's already the Reisha. If he only does it one thing, then it's the middle thing, the mitzvah that says he could bring a carbon. So why does the Sefer say he cannot bring a carbon? What did he do exactly? You hear? The Sefer says he can't bring a carbon. What is he guilty of? That he's not mekayim the whole Torah? That we already said in the Reisha. So it can't be that it's repeating itself. So he's only over on one Aveira. He doesn't keep Shabbos, he keeps the whole Torah. That we learned you could bring a carbon. So why does the Sefer say you can't bring a carbon? So we have to take out the Vav. It's not min hamumar v nisuch yain. It's min hamumar le nasich yain. He's a mummer that he pours the wine of the zar. Okay, so on that, if you're over the two things, Shabbos and Avodah Zarah. So what's the raya here? You see that Shabbos is similar to Avodah Zarah, Alma Avodah Zarah, v'Shabbos k'adodi ninu shma. It's a great raya that somebody that's a kofer in Shabbos has the same halacha as somebody that's kofer in Avodah Zarah, that does Avodah Zarah. Memeli is a kofer in the Rebbeinu Shloilom. He cannot be mevatel rishos. Go weiter, Rabbi Isai. He forgot to bring an Eruv. He forgot to do an Eruv, so he did bittul. So we're going to cheat a little bit. It says, Beiso Yosser, it always says his house. Why? Because he wasn't mevatel his house. So mevatel his chotzer, not his house. We'll see. Beiso Yosser, he cannot take out from his house into the chotzer, from the chotzer into his house. Not them, not him. Bishalohem, but everybody else over there. But he did bittul, so it's good. But not everything. He didn't do bittul to everything. And their house, obviously they could bring in and out, but even he could. Why? Because he's their guest. What if they were mevatel to him? So now became one rishus. Who motor v'hein asur? The Gemara is going to explain. Two people in the mavoy, in the chutzner over there, forgot to be ma'arev. Oisrim zeh al zeh. Obviously, the Gemara is going to say, anytime you have two people in one chutzner, and that's what they are, two people in one chutzner, they ruin it for each other. One could relinquish his rishus or accept somebody else's property. The two could relinquish to the rest of the chutzner. They can't take it. And when does this happen that you relinquish your property? It needs to be dark already, say Beisil. And this we had. Here's the Mishnah that Yisrael is talking about. We had it twice already, third time. He gave up his rishus. In other words, he's mevatel rishus. But he reneged on it. He took something out into the chutzner. But it's not his chutzner. How can he take it from his house to the chutzner that doesn't belong to him? Basically, he's undoing the bittul that he did. So what's the pshat? Okay, the pshatim that we learned already. See from here, he didn't remove himself completely. If he didn't remove himself completely, he could go back and take it back. Rabbi doesn't hold like that. Or the pshat is, are we geyser shagi gatu mezid? Okay. And we don't have to be geyser shogeg eino yoiser. That's why shogeg eino yoiser. We don't have to be geyser shogeg atu mezid. Says the Gemara, Beiso Yehuda Asur Chatzeri Sharia. What's going on here? Why is it also for you to carry? That's how the Mishnah started off. Beis Yasser. Doesn't talk about the yard. Why not? What's the case? If he's mevatel everything, Beis Yasser, he's mevatel. So it shouldn't be Yasser. If he didn't relinquish anything, so then why is it okay to bring the chatzah? He didn't do bittul and he forgot to do an eruv. So this guy's he's a bad guy. He's a troublemaker. Says Gemara, okay, so you have to split it. He was mevatel his chatzah. He's not that large. He doesn't want to give away $1 million house, but not his house. Memela, it's also to go into his house. It's also to carry in and out of his house. Not for you, not for them. The diary inish bevayis below chatzin. This is the svar. Over here, the Gemara is saying it's like Bara Park. Remember, I started saying epicenter. It's fine. It's okay to live without a yard. Over here, the Gemara says diary inish bevayis below chatzin. He holds it's possible to live without a yard. It's so interesting, Yosef. I'm just thinking. Are you listening, Yosef? Yosef ben Zev. No, I guess he's off. I didn't discuss this with you, but you could tell the Olam just because it's just happened right before I was preparing shir. The guy came to see my house, and he says the only thing he cares about the house is what? The one negative. What did he say?
Location.
No, the wrong answer. What? The yard. You're not paying attention to the sugya. He said the yard. He comes from Miami, and Memela, one thing bothered him. No, didn't they say that, Yosef?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, shkoyach. You ruined the whole story. Next, erase, cut, out. So, the dire inish bayis. You can tell him this Gemara. The dire inish bayis v'lo chatzah. All you need is a house. You don't need a yard. Zog the Gemara v'shalem mutaloi v'lohen. Let's just do a few more lines. 2 more lines. 3 more lines. My taima. So their property is okay for him. Why? Now you're right, he doesn't belong here. He doesn't belong here. But yeah, I'm doing it now. Somebody's not muted. Anyway, so where was it? Yeah, so Melo, so he's a what if they relinquish their property to him? Who motivated Nasurim? We just said this concept of he's a guest. So let them be guests by him. It makes sense. One guy comes into a neighborhood, he's their guest. One guy lives in a neighborhood and he starts inviting everybody into his neighborhood. Oh, you see from here that, you know what, let's just stop over here. Let's stop. Rabbi say a gewaldige Shabbos. What? Oh, 2 dots. Fine. Shma mino mevatlin v'choizrin umevatlin. You see from here that you could renege, you could relinquish your property, and then they could give it back to you, because these guys after this guy, the guys in the chutzah gave the property back to them. Achikomar nasnaloi reshuson mikara hu mutar v'hein. Not that he gave them his property and then they gave it back. It's talking about that they gave their property beforehand, and therefore that's why he's mutar and they are also. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos or a great week if you're in Eretz Yisrael. Sorry for all the delays. Bezer Hashem will get a little sleep. Tehillim? No. As much Shabbos, no Tehillim. Yeah.